what you do 9 to 5, but I mean the idea of work, meaning labor, energy, uh, putting yourself into something. And there's this really fascinating cultural kind of concept, which is that all cultures are not created equal, right? We live in a time where we really are trying to say, all cultures are equal. We need to just value all cultures as being the same. And it's just untrue. Factually, from a metric standpoint, when you measure the output, and when I say output, I mean every conceivable output, whether it's economic, whether it's social justice, whether it's governmental, whether it's the kind of education that children receive, or the kind of liberation that women are able to encounter, or whether it's health or longevity of life or infant mortality, or you fill in the blank. There's all of these ways that they measure what a culture or a nation or a people group is valued by, right? Yeah.
Can I say it a different way?
Sure.
So cultures specialize that every culture has
Strengths.
exceptional strengths.
Yes. Yes.
And they talk about that, like during the war, the Germans had the best mechanical precision, but the Americans just put out more tanks, like so fast that just overwhelmed.
Interesting.
Didn't matter anymore.
Interesting.
Because we just overwhelmed. We were putting out a tank every 20 minutes, and they just couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that we could produce so fast. And then you get German cars. German cars they last, right? They're
right.
Not
right.
precision as German cars, but they build stuff that just goes and goes and goes and goes.
Yep. Yep.
So it's just we just have different strengths.
Yes.
Strengths and weaknesses to.
Yes. Yes. Well, one of the interesting things, so there's a guy named Lawrence Harrison, who's a sociologist, well, he's dead now, but wrote lots and lots and lots on this idea of culture and what are the attributes that allow cultures to thrive, right? The point is, how do we thrive as a people? And there are cultural things, beliefs, understandings that cause us to thrive, and there's many of them, and there's many cultural beliefs that cause us to suffer, right? So the nations that score last on the kind of on all metrics are the nations that are animistic, meaning they believe in all kinds of gods. Like there's 100 gods, or that are voodoo, oriented around voodoo. So Haiti, right, is last. You know what Haiti's primary religion is? Voodoo, right? So all of the nations that are oriented around a multiplicity of gods, and it's all gods, always score last in social measures, economic measures. In the nations that are singular in their God, Israel, Jews, Protestants, Catholics, kind of in terms of monotheistic, believing in there's a central God, to the exclusion of Muslim nations. Now, that's a whole different reason, and we're not going to get into that, but the specific thing that was fascinating to me when they were looking at all these different cultures is the view on work. And the cultures that really elevated the view of work, and not just work, again, yes, work with your hands and building and those kinds of things, but just things that take effort. The cultures that believe that effort and diligence and hard work were good were cultures that actually thrived. And so, and what they found is places, well, ever heard of the word, the Protestant work ethic? Ever heard of that term, Protestant work ethic, right? It's this thing that came out of the Reformation. And so there was this Protestant puritanical, right? Puritans was a group of people that came out of the Reformation, and they believed that hard work, you ever heard the phrase, well, there's lots of phrases, but basically the idea of hard work is actually a godly thing. Diligence is a godly thing. Well, here's the bad news. And it's actually good news, but it sounds like bad news. Anything you want that's good in life, anything, you fill in the blank, takes work, and a lot of work. You want to be physically fit? Work. You want your mental capacity to be upgraded and have a good intellectual depth? It takes work. You want your marriage to be strong and to stay connected even after 8, 18, 28 years of marriage? It takes work. You want your children to stay connected to you through their teen years? That takes work. When they become adults, work. You want to not be easily triggered and emotional and offended by people? all of it, right? Everything that has as valuable takes work. But we have begun to buy a cultural lie, which is, you know what I really can't wait for? Is when I can just stop working, when I can just rest, when I can just have leisure, when I can just be amused to death. So why is Netflix and Amazon Prime and you fill in the blank just gangbusters popular? Because we've begun to buy the lie that it's much better for my soul. It's much better for me when I can just kick the feet back, kick the feet up, tip back a brewski, and watch a fourth show in a row on my favorite episode of You Fill in the Blank. Like, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with kicking your feet back and watching a show, but it's like with anything, we believe that leisure and not work is the goal. And so what we think is when things are hard in our marriage, something must be wrong, or hard with our kids and it's really difficult, something must be wrong, or hard to deal with what's in here because we all have lots of issues in here. When it takes a lot of work, we kind of feel like something's wrong. And I just would say, no, nothing's wrong. That's life. It's kind of like if I were to walk and it's like, man, why is it so hard to lift my legs every time I like it? It's difficult. It's like that's called gravity, dumbo. Like nobody would question why it's hard to lift your legs. In fact, you don't think it's hard to lift your legs unless you're looking at my 7-month-old son who's learning to crawl, and it's just like so hard, right? If he was on the moon, it wouldn't be easy, right? But he wouldn't develop because there wouldn't be resistance and the gravity and causing his bones to strengthen and all that kind of stuff. We've bought the lie that the ideal life is to win the lottery, buy a house on the beach, kick back, chill, dog. That is the vision. And if that's such a great life, why don't the people that do it thrive? They don't. The rich and the famous, have you ever noticed what they aren't doing? Anybody notice what the rich and famous aren't doing? I kind of just gave you a clue with the previous sentence. Sitting on the beach, drinking margaritas all day long. They could. They have all the money in the world. They don't need to make more money. They have all the girls, or they have all whatever you fill in the blank. Why do the rich and the famous and the powerful what do they keep doing? Working. They keep making more movies, or they keep building more businesses, or they keep expanding their empire, Elon Musk, or why? Because we were made to work. We were made to have to engage our will, our soul, and our being into things. So I'm going to give you a bunch of scripture that are just going to back this up, that some of which you probably never thought about this. Genesis 2 says, by the seventh day, God had finished the work. That's crazy. You mean God was working? Yes. And it said he rested from his work on the seventh day. So God worked. That means we've been created in his image, and to the degree that we're not working is to the degree we're not operating in who we've been created to be. So why do men who retire from work, 50% of them within 2 years have a heart attack? Because we were created to put our hands and our minds and our hearts into something. Genesis 2:15, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. This is before the fall. So before the fall, work was a part of creation. And I'll take you now to Revelation 21. Revelation 21 is the end of the story. And in Revelation 21, it talks about at the end when the heavens and the earth come together, which is going to be much more like what we're in right now, by the way. And we're kind of on this earth, that's this earth, but it's been reborn and it's reformed and it's a much better version of what we currently are at. Guess what we'll still do? We'll still work. This says the kings of the earth will bring their their glorious treasures before the king, presenting to the king what they've created and started. It says that we will serve and, in a sense, will reign with Christ. Right? The work never ends. Sorry. But the reason why that's disappointing is because we bought a lie that says effort, difficult, and specifically 1700s and then into the 1800s, actually changed the entire planet as relates to how we do everything when it comes to the way we run organizations, the way we run businesses, the way we run factories, and it was all around this valuing of work, that they saw work as good, that they saw leaning into something as good. They saw that applying themselves to inventions and creation and ideas, right? And I'm just telling you, your marriage will not be good if you don't work your butt off. And I don't mean work your butt off like it's like terrible, like, oh, this is so bad. I mean, you're being intentional. You're putting time when you go out on that's the truth. So that takes work, right? Setting aside an evening 30 to 11 on Saturdays because it's easier because we're not so tired, right? At the end of the day, that takes work. It takes work. Okay, mom, we need to schedule the babysitter, and then you got to find the place you want to go eat. And then when you go out to eat, you don't just complain about life. You actually think about questions and wrestling with what's working and talking about life and dreams. And so we'll like come up with questions and we'll look up things and we'll read books, right? Takes work to be connected. Guess what we think? Dude, like, shouldn't it just be easy, bro? Shouldn't it just like, I just want to like have fun with my wife and like, just want to be able to, I just want it to be work. Yeah, it's going to work if you work it. Or kids. We wonder why the vast majority of kids do not want to come around the house when they get older. Because we didn't do they'll give you trouble when they're old. You choose, right? Why? Because it takes so much work with your 6-month-old or your 6-year-old or your 16-year-old or your 23-year-old. It takes time and energy and investment and thinking, and it takes so much of this. Like my 3-year-old right now is the cutest little boy. I mean, he's just been our angel, and now he is in whine mode. Just whines about everything. Oh, it's okay. It'll work itself out. No, it won't. Myself, my Ruthie, mom, we have to work at, okay, Aaron, and teach him and train him. And it takes work. All right. Proverbs 10:4, or sorry, Genesis 3. This is what we all know. Cursed is the ground, right? Cursed is the ground because if the curse didn't come upon work, the curse came upon the ground. So there are things that resist us now, right? There's stuff that makes work even harder, but the curse isn't on the work. The curse is on the ground. And so God, give me strength, empower me. That's why we need the Holy Spirit. That's why we need God, so that we can actually do work in our marriage, with our children, in our workplace, in our souls, with the grace of God on us. You know what I hate? I hate when people talk about the grace of God in a way that means there's no work required. 1 Corinthians 15:10 says, I am what I am by the grace of God, but his grace to me was not without effect. I worked harder than all of them, yet not I, but the grace of God, right? It's like this thing. It's like, it's all grace, but I'm working my butt off. But it's his grace, but I'm going to work my butt off. We want it to be, dude, all grace, chill, man, just relax. Like, no. All right, Proverbs 10:4, lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Proverbs 14, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Proverbs 21:5, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Ecclesiastes 9:10, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. We are in an interesting place culturally speaking. Our culture, meaning the Western civilization, was built on this understanding that diligence in all things is required. You have to give yourself, one of my favorite quotes is Ben Franklin, lose no time, always be employed in something useful, cut off all unnecessary activity. That's a man's quote right there. Lose no time, always be employed in something useful, cut off all unnecessary. Dang, I love that quote. And if you study men and women who've done great things through the ages, they all think like that. They're not looking like, dude, I want to work hard, store up some stuff so I can just finally relax. By the way, retirement was not a thing until about 1870. Back to the Germans, a German chancellor, or whatever his title was, I can't remember, created the term because the young were having trouble finding jobs. So they created this idea of retirement so that the older would leave the job posts and the young could fill them. That's why it was created. So it's not some like mandate. It's actually a curse. I would say retiring is a curse. Yeah.
I think what everyone maybe in their mind is struggling with is the fact that a lot of the work sucks, right? And what I found as I got getting older that, I did most of what I did when I was younger didn't quite fit me, wasn't in my gifting, I wasn't good at it, needed practice. But as time has gone on, I've moved closer and closer to what God's made me to do. And most time, work is enjoyable, right? But it's just taken me a whole, and I think that's the model um, in Christianity, right? In heaven, we're going to be doing what we're good at, and we feel it, right? Sometimes when we're working, we're like, okay, I feel good, my body feels good, I'm supporting my family, I'm doing what I do well, people are happy with me. It's hard for all those things to line up, but when that happens, we're like, this is good.
Yeah.
But the problem is hardly any of those things line up, and I think heavenly work is when our body feels great, we're in the thing we're meant to do,
Yep.
doing, offering benefit to others and ourselves and our family.
Yeah.
And doing really great things and knowing that they're really great things.
Yeah.
Like we just don't get to feel that line up, so we feel like work is.
Yeah. So it's a great comment, and what he's referencing too is this mirage effect. You guys know what a mirage is, right? A mirage is something that appears to be there on the horizon, and once you get there, it's gone. The mirage effect, we have to be careful because it'll sow into you a lie, and the lie is this: someday I won't have to work, and then I'll be happy, right? And if you have that lie, then you always are angry or frustrated by the work. Like someday my wife and I, or someday when my kids are older, or someday, like there's always that. And it's like, no, you don't understand. The work can actually be a blessing. So keep going. I'm going to show you a couple other things. I mean, look at this. I'll skip. Blah, 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 blah. John 5:17. My Father is always at his work. Jesus speaking of the Father, right? The Father's at work. Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, if you're at home, you're working in the garden or whatever, work at it with all your heart. If you're with your kid, training them, work at it with all your heart. If you're on the job site, work at it with because we're created to work. 2 Thessalonians, we worked night and day, laboring and toiling so that we would not be a burden to any of you. Paul says it repeatedly through the epistles that he worked and he worked. I love, Terry has a little line that I'm gonna steal. He was being interviewed before he came on board here, and one of the questions, because he's not the youngest guy in the room, right? So one of the questions, and he just said, hey, before you ask the question, I don't plan on retiring. I'm going to expire. I'm not going to retire. I'm going to expire. I'm going to expire, right? Because there's a mindset. There's a mindset. I just want to tell you guys that you never get to retire. I mean, we can think we retire, but like the things I'm teaching my 6-year-old, right? So my 6-year-old did a lemonade stand yesterday, and he made way too much money. He made $50, literally $50 at his lemonade stand, which is not good. Why? Because it was so easy. It's okay. We'll work through that. But right, I want to reverse his understanding of, dude, he has a cup full of cash stuffed in there. It's like, okay, I'm gonna teach you, I'm gonna reframe this so that, and it's obvious when I give you that example. What am I reframing? I want him to value the investment of energy, and he will do this sometimes. He'll run over to me, Dad, look, what's this? And sweat, right? Going down his, like, that's good, right? That's good. So that he values things that are difficult, things that are hard. I'm constantly talking to my children in front of Ruthie about the time and energy it takes to have a good relationship. I'm constantly talking to the children amongst themselves and say, hey, guess what? You guys will, as working on our issues. So brother to brother and sister to brother and all those different dynamics that often, if truth be told, parents are not diligent and don't do the hard work of facilitating and coaching and correcting and training. And so how many of you can raise your hand, and it's a beautiful thing if you can, so please do if you can, that you would say your best friends are your brothers and your sisters? Okay, so 3 of you, which is awesome. But I'm guessing, I'm an only child, but I'm guessing the rest of you aren't only children. And you didn't say, yeah, my brother, my sister are my best friends. And that's the norm, because it takes work for everything. And so that's what I want to end with, is that you would begin to lean into the things in your life that aren't quite the way they should be. How organized is your home? How clean is your car? How good is the communication between you and your wife? How good are relationships between your siblings? How good is your relationship between you and your mom, you and your parents? All of those things. And you can't pick 7, pick like 2 and begin to realize that God has blessed work. Work has been blessed by him. And as you step into putting energy into your marriage and your children and your work, and you will begin, just like I'm teaching my 6-year-old to, like, I don't want to weed. Here, let me explain to you why this is good. I don't like weeding. Weeding sucks. Actually, so much, it's not like I was made. Like, it's part of the stuff that I don't like that's in our culture is what were you created to do? That's good, except when we put it on steroids. And I just want to do what I'm created to do. What's the dream in my heart? It's like, cool, but like it's a small sliver of the whole picture. There's a lot of stuff all day long. That's why I told my 19, well, he's 21 now, Caleb, and I'll end with a story. He's like, Dad, man, I just can't wait till I'm like running a business like you are, because he was doing whatever he was doing at that point. He wasn't liking it. And he's like, yeah, when you run a business, it's so exciting. And da, da, da. I said, Caleb, do you understand? Like, it sounds like it, but all this, he was explaining all the things he has to do and all the, I was like, do you understand? Every one of those things you just listed, I have to do, except now multiply it because I have this fact and this and that. It's a lie that says once I get to X stage of either income or title, then no, it's all work all the time. So let's reframe work, just like for my 6-year-old, literally enjoys pulling weeds. Now, we've connected some things to it, right? So if he has a few handfuls, he gets, I think it's 50 cents, which is good, right? It's not just like work for no reasons, work with an end in mind, work in your marriage, because I'm just telling you, if you will start saying, wife, we're going to start going out once a week. And in fact, I'm going to lead the conversation. Your wife may not do it out of the gates because she's going to be like, who's the alien that just took over my husband? But if you begin to do that, I'm going to take you out once a week and I'm going to lead the conversation. I'm going to seek to create connection. She inside, maybe may not show you right away, will do backflips because the work communicates love, right? You putting energy into your children, taking time, setting the phone down, turning off the television, whatever it is that you do, and just eye to eye with your son, with your daughter. I just took my 3-year-old out on a date on Sunday. It was just, we went to a coffee shop, 30 minutes. I took him on a 30-minute date, not 3 hours, 30 minutes. Sat there, got him a bagel, got him a little steamer, and he was just, I mean, a 3-year-old, they don't have much cognitive. He won't remember it, by the way, but his soul is being shaped by his connection to his father. You think that took work? Think I had other things I could have done early Sunday morning? Yes. Here's the truth. I didn't actually want to do it. It was like, oh, this is going to be so fun. Like, I got things to do and I got to take out. Seriously, that's how I felt inside. But I had vision for the work, the effort that I was going to put into him. I knew would pay off dividends. And it did. Right when I was picking him up, putting him into the car seat, looks at me. We're just into the date. Just into the date. Click. Daddy, when can we go on a date again? Like, oh my gosh. Very soon, son, And my other kids are crying because I only took him. And I have to, it takes work. It all takes work. So you see, you guys getting the point? So, Father,